What's up, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new video. This is episode 3 in a series that I'm doing that's going to be 7 parts of me casting the Harry Potter television show that's going to be coming to HBO, to Max soon. They are currently casting the young golden trio of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. I will not be casting any students for this because I think that those should be relatively unknown young actors from the UK and Ireland. I tried to keep my cast to British and Irish, Welsh, English, whatever, Scottish actors. But I also wanted to just set the preface here. If you didn't watch the first 2 episodes, I would recommend you go watch those. And I'll say this again. I'm going based off the books. I use the movies as a reference point, though, because I think they're incredibly well cast. I tried to do book accurate ages for different characters, and tried to keep the ages concise amongst the characters, amongst the actors as well. So in this episode, we're going to be casting 6 characters: a new professor, Professor Trelawney, Harry's parents, and the rest of the Marauders. So let's start with the professor we meet in book 3, Professor Sybil Trelawney, the divination professor. She's wacky, she's weird, and, well, she's kind of a fraud. She fakes most of her predictions, but we see throughout the book and throughout the series that she actually does get a lot of them right. And the person that I would choose to fill those glasses is Juno Temple. She is mostly known for her Emmy-nominated roles in Ted Lasso, where she plays Keely Jones, as well as her work in Fargo. At 35, she's the right age, and I mean this in the absolute most respectful way. I think that she has a look that she could just be a little out there and a little odd, and I think she could play this character well. Now, on to Lily Potter. I mentioned in episode 1 that she was 21 when she died, so an actress around that age would make sense because we'll only see her in flashbacks and the sort. I'm going with a 29-year-old, but I think she could pass for younger, and that is Hannah Dodd. I told you in the last couple of episodes that I would be pulling a lot from Bridgerton, and I'm still not done with that, but she took a starring role in season 3 of Bridgerton as Francesca Bridgerton. She's appeared in the show Find Me in Paris, as well as the film Enola Holmes 2. And I really think, I'll say this with her as well as the actor I cast for James, the most important thing is that they resemble Harry. Obviously, we want James to look a lot like him, so it really is going to matter what the actor that they cast Harry looks like. Assuming that he looks as Harry is described in the books, I think these would be good actors to do it. But she needs to have the same eyes as Harry does, because they reference that all the time. And in the movies, they don't. The actress that they cast, Geraldine Somerville, does not have the same color eyes as Daniel Radcliffe. Neither does the actress that plays a young version of her. Anyways, as long as that stands true and she has the same eyes, then I like this pick. And with Lily comes James Potter. And again, I think he needs to look like the actor that plays Harry. That's most important. But based on this, this is a little weird because he played Hannah Dodd's brother in Bridgerton. I am going with Luke Thompson, who plays the role of Benedict Bridgerton. 36, he's on the older range of what I'm thinking, but I think he can play younger. He does so in Bridgerton. I think he can pass for early to mid-20s. He would be the same age, roughly, as the rest of the actors I cast as the Marauders. We're going to be exposed to him in a bigger role in the next season of Bridgerton, where he is going to play the male lead whenever that season comes out in 20 years or whatever. But, I mean, this isn't a huge part. It's just making the scenes that you have matter, and it'd be a lot of flashbacks and different scenes and not visions, but in the mirror, different things like that. So I really think that he and Hannah Dodd would make a great James and Lily. So Luke Thompson as James Potter. Starting with the rest of the Marauders, we have Peter Pettigrew, aka Wormtail, aka Scabbers. This was one of the most difficult ones for me. All the fan casts had Lewis Capaldi for some reason, who's not an actor, and people just said he looks like the character, which is a crazy thing to say just about a random singer. It just doesn't make sense to me. Another one I saw, and I think this is for people thinking younger, is Dane DeHaan, but that one just doesn't fit to me. And I actually cast him in another role. And one other thing I'll say is that people want a young Marauders series, and I don't know if they're thinking high school or what, but you got to think James and Lily were only out of high school for 3 years before they died, so it would have to be, I guess, them in high school, which I guess would be fine. I mean, that's not really the spin-off series I would want, but we'll get more into that in the last episode. I'll tell you what spin-off series I would like to see. Anyways, when I came up with this pick, I was very proud of it when it hit me, and I am pulling from Ted Lasso once again. I promise I've watched more shows than just Ted Lasso and Bridgerton, but that's where we're going. Is Nick Mohammed, who is known for playing Nathan Shelley in Ted Lasso. That was not intentional for me to just keep pulling action there, but I am going to continue to do it somewhat. He is 43, so he's a little bit older than the rest of the Marauders, but I think it makes sense. I think all three of these guys look older than early to mid 30s, but I think it makes sense for the three living Marauders to look older than they are because of the lives that they lived prior to. You know, as a werewolf, disguised as a rat for a decade, and in prison. Like, it just makes sense, I think, for them to look older. Nathan Shelley, to me, feels like a very similar character to a Peter Pettigrew, except Nathan gets his redemption at the end. Peter Pettigrew just sucks. But that would be my pick is Nick Mohammed as Peter Pettigrew. Next, we have Mooney, Mr. Remus Lupin, the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor and member of the Marauders in year 3. So the actor that I have here would have made a very good Lupin or a very good Sirius. But it didn't make sense for him to be cast as Sirius, and the reason why is because he's white. He's not white. So let me tell you why I think that matters. Let me explain. I'm not bothered at all by swapping races of characters for an actor that fills a role. That doesn't bother me. I'm unaffected by that. Yeah, okay, oh well. Unless the race is important to the character. So typically, that's why you don't want to see a character that's already a person of color or minority be cast in a different race, because a lot of the times that is important to their character. Typically, when it's a white character, the race isn't important just because they're white. Like, that's not really going to play into the story at all. However, for Sirius, I think it does because of his pure blood status. And the reason for that is because I think in Harry Potter, the blood statuses and pure bloods and half-bloods, we see pure bloods is very much a class-driven thing. It's very much a discriminatory thing we see with Draco Malfoy, the way he treats Hermione, a Muggle-born student, right? By calling her slurs and making fun of her for that. So to me, it would make sense that they're white because it's an old English family. They want to keep their blood so pure that they even sometimes resort to, like, incest. It just makes sense, I think, for the character to be white, and I don't think it would necessarily make sense for him to be another race. So I just wanted to say all that because I think that is important to the character. Please don't take that as me saying that white blood is pure blood, because that's not at all what I'm meaning. I'm saying I think it's a negative thing, but that's the way that it is in the book. It's meant to be sort of, a depiction of racism in a certain sense. Anyways, I hope all that makes sense. Okay, so for Lupin, I would cast this character. I would cast Dev Patel. He's 34, English actor. He is great. He's Oscar nominated. He's known for his roles in Slumdog Millionaire, Monkey Man that came out this year, which is a great film. He's fantastic in that. He was The Green Knight is another one he's known for. He was Oscar nominated for his role in Lion. He's 34. That's the perfect age. I think he can play the rough, rugged, lonely Professor Lupin while also becoming a mentor of sorts to Harry. And I don't know how to explain this, but he just looks like a professor that would be a werewolf. So there we go. Dev Patel as Remus Lupin. And finally, we have Padfoot, Sirius Black. I guess I spoiled it by saying I was casting a white guy. There are so few of those in Hollywood, you probably know exactly who I'm referring to. But, jokes aside, I would cast Aaron Taylor Johnson as Sirius Black. Now, I have a hard time grasping him doing a TV show, But I have a feeling this TV show is going to be such a big budget and such a big production that it's really just going to feel like you're doing a movie. He's 34 years old, the same age as Dev Patel. So I think just the right age. I think he looks older than that, but again, I think it makes sense for him to. He's such an underrated actor. He's been in big budget things. He was in Avengers, Age of Ultron as Quicksilver. He was in the 2 Kick-Ass movies as the titular character. He's been in Godzilla. He was in Bullet Train. Some people think he's going to be the next James Bond. He's just a wonderful actor. I really enjoy his work. He's a very handsome man, obviously, which Sirius is described as. But I think he can also play, when we see Sirius in the first book, his face is sunken in. He's a shell of a man because he's been in prison for a decade, having all the happiness sucked out of him by the Dementors. And so Sirius is reckless, but he's loyal. I just think these are all traits that Aaron Taylor Johnson can bring. He's not a bad guy at all, but he makes rash decisions. And I feel like he can embody that to a T. So Aaron Taylor Johnson as Sirius Black. And that's the final casting of this video. Stay tuned for the next episode, Goblet of Fire, which Goblet of Fire introduces so many new characters. I'm not going to be casting all of them because, like I said, students, I wouldn't cast. Students I wouldn't cast because I think that they need younger unknown actors, but I will be actually casting one student in the next episode. But other than that, stay tuned for that. That'll be coming out soon, as well as the additional episodes of this series. Let me know down in the comments who you would cast. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.